when we used to wear pads so that you could attract menses, so that you could. Hi guys, join me as I share my period journey and some of the challenges that I faced while using the disposable menstrual products. I started my period when I was 10 years old. Back then I was in class 7. That was the year 2011, 2010, sorry. In 2010, that's when I started my period. And at this time, I remember most of my peers and classmates had started getting their periods. So there was a big wave of peer pressure around us when you didn't have your period. Most of us were excited to have them. Because I remember there was a time when we used to wear pads, so that you could attract menses, so that you could start our menstrual flow. That's how excited we were, and that's how eager we were. Because back then, I remember we were told that being menstruating, that's what makes you a woman. So it felt like if you did not start your period, you weren't a woman. Okay, so I remember that. So I remember back then my flow used to be really, really heavy, and I used to use, like, in a day I would use like 6 pads, at least 6 pads. So many, and I used to bleed for like 5 days. So I'm going to use, if the first 2 days I'm using 12 pads, each 6 pads, then that day I use 4 pads, those are already 16. And then the fourth day I use 2 pads, those are 18. And then the last day I use 1 pad or 2, those are going to be 19 to 20 pads. So meaning by the end of those 5 days, I'll have used roughly 20 pads. That is a lot of environmental waste, considering these pads are usually made from plastic and other artificial products. So they are not going to be safe for the environment. Another challenge I used to face is you always need to carry an extra pad or an extra tampon or an extra liner every time you are on your period. And let me tell you something, once you open that pad, or once you open that liner, or once you open that tampon, there's no going back. That pad is either you use it or you throw it away, because they are already contaminated and they are ready for disposal. And then if you forget to carry an extra pad or a tampon or a liner, you'll have to impulsively buy some so that they can cater for your needs that day. If you are at school, you'll need to borrow some of the pads or tampons from your friends. And by the time you get one, because teenagers being teenagers, some of them are mean, you'll have maybe told the whole class that you're on your period by the time you get that pad. And you don't want to go announcing your business to everybody, you know. The impulse purchases, they make you not stick to your budget, meaning that you'll have to use money that was allocated to buy something else so that you can access the pads at the moment. For example, right now, if you're going to work and you've forgotten your pads, the cheapest pads, the cheapest good quality pads you can get in the market, they are going for 120 shillings for 8 pieces. So it means that that day you'll have incurred extra 120 shillings. And depending on the location, maybe sometimes you are in very remote areas, or you are in a place where it is so hard to access such products. So you need to buy them at an extra cost. Sometimes you might even end up using even 1,000 bob, depending with where you are, because sometimes these products are like a very valuable substance to find. So you'll need to go an extra step. Maybe you're going to send somebody to fetch that product for you. So you'll need to pay them until to where they are going their fare, and maybe sometimes some extra money, so that you can appreciate them for at least choosing to help you. Something else with the disposable pads is the discreetness. Whenever you're going to the washroom to change, those wrappers make a lot of noise. And you don't want to announce your business to everybody every now and then. So that slow unwrapping, that discomfort of letting everybody know that you're on your period, you are trying to get rid of it, because you want to keep your things to yourself. Let's talk about tampons. The way tampons absorb everything in your vaginal canal, including the vaginal fluids that are supposed to protect your vagina and keep it lubricated and clean it in the process. The tampon will absorb that alongside with the blood. Okay? And that is not something so good, because it leaves you feeling dry most of the time, especially around day 3, day 4, when you wear a tampon. It usually makes you feel uncomfortable. This is from experiences I've gathered from my friends, since I've never used tampons on my side. Something else when using these products, maybe like the pads, you'll need to consume a lot of tissue paper. You'll need to consume a lot of tissue paper or wet wipes when you're cleaning yourself, or you'll need a lot of water while cleaning yourself after every time you visit the toilet, because the blood is usually so slimy, and you'll need a lot of toilet paper or wet wipes to make sure that you're clean. Okay. Then something else about the disposable pads is the way when you're using the pad, maybe around day 3, day 4, when you are not having a really heavy flu, you and the pad is not seated well, you'll always feel that constant presence of the pad. Sometimes even the pad you'll feel like it is out of position. Sometimes your pad will slip in between the butt crack, which is really uncomfortable. And even let's not forget about the sweating, especially at night, or maybe when you are somewhere very hot. When you're wearing a pad, you'll start feeling that feeling of sweat. You'll start sweating, and most of the time you'll be tempted either to scratch yourself for comfort, or maybe when you're sleeping, you'll find yourself that you have scratched yourself, and sometimes you'll wake up with bruises because you're sleeping, you didn't notice that you are scratching your skin and you're getting too harsh on it. And then pads usually come with a lot of infections, especially if you wear a pad for a very long time, for more than 8 hours, even at times even less than 8 hours. You might expose yourself to infections once the blood has been into contact with a lot of warmth and fresh air. So as we know, when wearing a pad, you'll always have that constant bad odor that is caused by blood and warmth and oxygen. Yeah, so these can expose you to infections. And even when you're wearing a tampon for so long, if you wear a tampon for maybe more than 6 hours or 8 hours in a day, you'll expose yourself to toxic shock syndrome. So that's why it is always recommendable, wherever you're wearing a tampon, do not exceed at least 6 hours. Do not exceed 8 hours at most, at most, at most. Even though tampons by themselves, they always indicate, you'll always feel some irritation once you have worn them for too long. Okay. Also, let's talk about the way the pads are increasing prices every now and then. For example, when my period started, when I was in class 7, that is in 2011, the cheapest pad, the cheapest pad, for example, if you use a brand like Always, back then it used to go for like the 2 pack, the 16 pack one, it used to go for around 120, 100 bob. But right now, that double pack is going for 250 shillings, and that's over a span of how many years? Since 2011 up to 2024 right now, that is a span of 13 years. Over the span of 13 years, the prices have gone up significantly. If you used to buy that 16 pack at 100 bob, and right now you're buying it at 150. Right now you're buying it, no, sorry, if right now you're buying it at 250 shillings, you can see there is a 15% difference margin. Okay. And that price is not constant. That price will continue going up and up and up. And maybe in the next 5 years, we'll be purchasing such pads for maybe even 500 shillings, which is really ridiculous considering these are products that should be readily available for every woman. Then something else with the disposable pads is the way they also expose you to leaks a lot. The fact that they do move around a lot, and the fact that they do not hold blood for so long. So if you have really heavy flows, or you are experiencing hemorrhaging, these pads are not good for you, because they can only hold little blood for a very short period of time. So they'll not cater for your needs, what you're seeking for, and that will expose you to leaks and some embarrassment, and that's not what we're seeking, that's not what we're looking for. So those are some of the challenges that I have experienced while using disposable pads. Feel down to comment down below if there are any other challenges that you've experienced, or feel free to share your experience with us so that we can get the different ideas and different perspectives that people have got, some of the different challenges that people have gone through while using these disposable pads. Join me for part 2 as I talk about reusable menstrual products, the new way that I'm using right now, and which is very convenient. That's all I have for today. Till next time, goodbye.